If you get lost in a forest, sometimes the most dangerous thing you can find is someone willing to help. Have you ever heard of Baba Yaga? They say she is an ancient witch who lives deep in the woods, in a house that stands on giant chicken legs, surrounded by a fence made of glowing human skulls. But the strange thing about Baba Yaga is that no one agrees on what she actually is. Some stories say she helps lost travelers. Some say she devours them. Others say she tests them. And the people who fail those tests are never seen again. One old story begins with a woodsman who never believed any of it. He had spent most of his life in the forest. He knew every trail, every stream, every shortcut back to his village. But one autumn evening, he followed a wounded deer farther than he intended, farther than he had ever gone before. By the time he looked up, the sun was gone, and the forest around him felt unfamiliar. For the first time in years, he was lost. He wandered for nearly an hour, trying one path after another, but every direction looked the same. That was when he saw the lights. Small glowing lights drifting silently between the trees. Not flickering, not moving, just waiting. The woodsman hesitated, then followed them, because he had nowhere else to go. Eventually, the trees opened into a clearing, and there it was. A wooden house standing on enormous chicken legs. The legs shifted slowly beneath it. Not walking, not standing still, just adjusting their position like a resting animal. And surrounding the clearing was a fence made entirely of human skulls. Each skull glowed softly from within, like a dying ember trapped behind bone. Sitting outside the house was an old woman, thin, bent with age, wrapped in dark clothing. She looked up from her chair and smiled. "Good evening." The woodsman nodded. "Good evening." The old woman tilted her head. "You seem troubled." The woodsman let out a breath. "I'm lost. I've been trying to find my way back to my village." The old woman nodded kindly. "I can help with that." Relief immediately washed over him. Then she added, "But first, come inside." The woodsman hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." The old woman chuckled softly. "It has been a very long time since I had company." She sounded harmless, lonely even. So the woodsman followed her inside. The house was surprisingly warm. A fire crackled in the hearth. A pot simmered nearby. The smell of soup filled the room. Nothing seemed threatening. Nothing seemed unusual. The old woman served him soup and fresh bread. The woodsman thanked her, then ate. The meal tasted normal, simple, comforting. When he finished, the old woman stood. "Now, follow the lights. They will lead you home." The woodsman thanked her again, then left. Outside, the lights appeared once more, floating silently among the trees. He followed them. Minutes became hours. The forest began to feel strange. The same fallen trees appeared repeatedly. The same stones, the same crooked branches. Several times he could have sworn he heard footsteps behind him. But every time he turned around, there was nothing there. Then finally, he stepped into a clearing and froze. The same clearing, The same house, the same fence, the same old woman waiting outside. The woodsman's stomach dropped. I followed the lights. I followed every one of them. The old woman nodded. I know. You said they would take me home. The old woman smiled. They did. For some reason, the woodsman's thoughts drifted back to the meal. The soup, the bread, the warmth of the house, and suddenly a terrible realization entered his mind. Who are you? The old woman smiled wider. As you already know. The woodsman's blood ran cold. Baba Yaga. She simply smiled. The woodsman turned and ran. He sprinted through the trees, past every path, past every light, past every shadow. Hours passed, maybe longer. Then he stumbled into another clearing. The same clearing, the same house, the same fence. Baba Yaga was still waiting, as if she had known exactly where he would appear. Then she pointed toward the skull fence. The woodsman looked closer. Every skull had a different face. Men, women, children, travelers from different centuries. And suddenly he understood. The skulls were not decorations. They were former guests. Baba Yaga finally spoke. The moment you ate at my table, you accepted my hospitality. The woodsman's heart pounded. You tricked me. Baba Yaga slowly shook her head. No, you accepted. She pointed toward the house. Everything that enters my home becomes part of it. The woodsman stared at her. What happens to them? For the first time, Baba Yaga laughed. A quiet laugh, an ancient laugh. Then she answered. At first, they forget the road home. Then they forget their village. Then they forget their family. The woodsman's breathing quickened. Then what? Baba Yaga pointed toward the fence. Then they forget their name. One of the oldest skulls slowly opened its eyes. Its glow was weaker than the others. Older. Waiting. The woodsman stared at it. Why me? For the first time, Baba Yaga seemed genuinely pleased. Not you. Your family. The woodsman felt his stomach drop. Baba Yaga pointed toward the ancient skull. Your grandfather sat at my table. He escaped before I could keep him. The woodsman froze. Baba Yaga stepped closer. Do you know why you followed that wounded deer so deep into the forest? The woodsman opened his mouth. But he didn't know. He had never hunted this far before. He had never planned to. Baba Yaga smiled. I called you. Suddenly, every strange feeling from that morning came rushing back. The feeling that something was waiting for him. The feeling he couldn't explain. The skull's jaw slowly creaked open, and it whispered, First you eat, then you stay, then you forget. The woodsman felt cold. Forget what? The skull answered immediately. Everything. Your village. Your family. Your name. Then the skull spoke one final time. in a voice that sounded strangely familiar. Grandfather was right. You should have ignored the lights. The woodsman tried to remember the name of his village and realized he couldn't. If you have made it this far in the video, thank you for watching the Midnight Archive. If this story unsettled you, subscribe for more horror stories drawn from legends, folklore, and places that should have stayed forgotten. And if you ever find yourself lost in the woods and offered food by a stranger, be careful what you accept. Some invitations are impossible to leave. You can also find more stories on Spotify under the Midnight Archive. Thank you for listening. Good night, and sleep well.